Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Usman Paracha, and today we would be going through our lecture number 6 of Applied Quantitative Analysis and Practices. Today we would just have first a recap of previous lecture which we did, and previously we discussed about how to enter the data in SPSS, how different variables of different measurement scales are entered in SPSS and how their specifications are given in this software. Once we went through that, then we basically went through how to do the descriptive analysis of the various variables and constructs which we were studying, and how to draw the histogram, likewise how to get the frequency distribution from the histogram there. Then stem and leaf display, how we can use SPSS to display this kind of result, and where can we track the case processing summary of the whole case, in which we discussed that this is basically the summary of the cases which are valid and which are not valid. And such kind of summary is firstly reported by SPSS in the output window before it gives any other kind of result in the window. Then another interesting detail which is reported by SPSS is the extreme values in any kind of data set, which is very much important because we have to see whether some extraordinary large or small values are present in the data set or not, because such kind of abnormal large or small values do create a problem while doing the data analysis. So these were all the kind of different descriptive analysis and how the descriptive results are showed in the SPSS, and we just went through how to give different commands in this software to get this kind of results displayed. Then we went through the chart builder facility given in this software and how we can give different variables to SPSS in this chart builder facility, and how the charts or different kind of charts can be selected and then be displayed in the software for our convenience. Then the other topic which we started discussing was related to the numerical descriptive measures, and in this the first very important topic is related to central tendency. As its name shows, that basically we are trying to see the values in the middle of the whole data set, and the three most important factors which are considered in central tendency are mean, median, and mode. Now we know very well that mean basically is the average of the values of the data set, and it lies in the middle. There are certain advantages and disadvantages of this tool, like it gives us a good idea of where the data is lying, where the central data is lying, but also the disadvantage for this is that it is affected by outliers. By outliers we mean the extraordinary large or small values which are lying in the data set. So there are certain instances in which the two different data sets can report the same mean, though their values can be quite different from each other, and thus we can say that sometimes the mean reported from these or from any kind of two data sets can be quite misleading as well. So we cannot use wholly or solely the mean function to describe the certain characteristic of data sets. So that's why we use other tools also. And here another important tool is median. And again, it's the central value, and as we discussed before, that it's the center value in case of odd number of data figures, and in case of even number of data figures, we have to take the average of the central two values, and that would give us the position of that figure which is lying in the data set, and from there we can detect the median. Again, we discussed before that in case of it's not necessary that median can portray an accurate picture of the whole data set, and it can be misleading as well, and we demonstrated in the previous work that two different data sets, and presumably with the difference of only one or two outliers, they may pose the same median. So the reporting of a median characteristic of any kind of data set can be misleading as well. So coming to the third tool, which is the mode, here is the value which is occurring the most in the data set, and the value should be similar to others. Now in case of mode, again we demonstrated that it has got certain deficiencies as well, and wholly solely this only tool cannot be relied upon in order to know the various characteristics of data set which we require. So while going through all this, we basically had in mind the picture of the model which we discussed, and in here the model which we were discussing previously and the model which we used to enter the data in SPSS in previous slide is displayed, and here you can see that we just took basically 6 human resource practices and their impact on a certain attitude and behavior of employees, and we measured these all of these characteristics through a questionnaire, and you can see the questionnaire again on the screen, in which, for example, a simple construct like training is measured through different questions, and it's measured again in the form of a 5-point scale. The employee rates the scale, and then we convert this intangible question to a tangible outcome. So coming back, here basically is the main model. Now how to use these, let's say, 3 numerical descriptive measures which we studied, and where is its application and how can we use it in SPSS. So today we are going to work on that. So coming back to the software in SPSS, let's have a look. So on the screen you can see the software basically in which all the values of these questions have already been entered. We have already gone through the fact that how to enter the various variable values here, and how to generate descriptive analysis of such variables, and then we have gone through already what is the variable view which is seen on the screen here, and what is the data view. By clicking on the data view we can switch back to the values which we have entered here. Now here basically now which we are interested in is in calculating the numerical descriptive measures. So let's say if we want to know that what is the mean of all the values entered in the training first question or training item number 1, also shown here as TR1 in the 5th column, you can see, and we want to know that on average what was the main rating done by the employees of the organization. So in order to do that, we can approach this thing through number of ways. And firstly, the one of the method to do this is just to click on the transform option in the menu bar, and by clicking on it, a drop down menu appears, and from here we can click on the first option, which is termed as compute variable, and here we can basically compute different kind of variables here. Now here, before going through the detail of this thing, one most important thing is that if going back to the model which we have discussed, and in that model we just showed that there is a single construct named as training, but we have to measure this training. Let's go back to that slide so that you can get yourself clear. You see here, training basically is represented by a single variable, but on the other end, when we go to the questionnaire, we are measuring the training variable through 6 questions. Now how to convert these 6 questions into a single construct, into a single variable, so that training main one variable is defined. So what we do is that we just go to the SPSS screen, and we just basically take the average or the mean of all the 6 questions here, as you can see on the screen, and let's say we want to know that on average what was the score of training variable in case of first respondent, and the first respondent data is entered in the first row, and here we can see all the 6 questions of training's answers, which are here in the form of first row of 5th column, 6th column, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th column. So now I want to know that on average what was the rating of the training variable as a whole by the respondent number 1, and likewise by the respondent number 2 and 3 and 4 respectively, and so on. So in order to do that, I create another variable and we have to compute it. Basically what we are trying to do is to try to find out the mean of 6 questions answered by a single first employee, and so on the rest of the employees as well. So as you can see on the screen, that we have got a compute variable option. Under that we have got target variable in the left top side. Now in target variable you have to write down the name of the variable which you want to represent the main variable which would be created and which should be representing the mean value of all the 6 questions of every separate respondent. That variable name is written here. So here let's say I take this target variable as TR. Now again I must remind you that the name of the variable should be short. However, you can give its full description in its label. The label can be given by clicking on the button below the target variable, and here let's click on this one, and here you can see that the SPSS is asking for the name of the variable, and let's say we give the label of this variable as training. So its type is numeric. Clicking on continue, the new variable name and label is defined, but how to calculate this thing? Now on the right side you can see there is a window in which there is a term written called numeric expression, and on below this numeric expression there is a keyboard type thing which is similar to a kind of a calculator, and ahead of that there is another window which is termed as function group. So let's click on all within the function group. Now when we click on this, we can see that the various functions, the mathematical functions and variables used are displayed below the function group dialog box, and here what we have to look for is the function of mean. So let's say I click on any one function in the functions in special variable, and I roll down to find out the mean function under this function group, and here you can see that the function mean is enlisted in function and special variables column. So by clicking on mean I have selected it, and you can also see that a brief description of this function is shown on the middle screen, box in between, and in this the syntax of this function is given and what's the function definition here is written, so that you can have a clearer understanding of what you are trying to do here. So by clicking on the arrow, the upward arrow which is displayed here right beside or right above the main box which is giving the detail of the mean function, we just click on it, and you can see that this mean function is now included in numeric expression window. So now you can notice that in ahead of the mean there are 2 question marks. Basically what SPSS is trying to ask is that we have to show here that what variables do we want to be inculcated in this function, so for whom the mean needs to be calculated. So here let's say we want to calculate the mean of these variables related to training. So there are basically 6 variables which are enlisted on the left side, and let's click on variable 1 here, and again by clicking on the left mouse button there is a dialog box, and I just want to get the name of variables displayed, so I just click on the first option, and now you can see the shortened version of all the variable is displayed here. So I click on TR1, and then I click on the arrow, which is immediately on the right side of this main window. So clicking on it, TR1 is added now in the main numeric expression. So again, next to TR1 is a comma which separates this variable from the other, but next the other one is still a question mark. So let's say we select the question mark and we go back to the menu where we will select TR2, the second variable here. So by clicking on second variable, we again click on the arrow, and TR2 is now included in the mean window here, but we want to calculate the mean of all the 6 variables, so we have to put comma after TR2 because we want to add more variables after TR2. So going back to the other window, we select TR3, and again we click on the arrow which is immediately on the right side of this variable list, and TR3 is added here. Likewise, again we put comma and we select the next variable, which is TR4, and we click on the arrow here again. Clicking on the next one, again we have to put comma here, and we click on TR5, and by clicking on TR5, the TR5 value is then included in the main function. Similarly, again we put comma because we have to put another variable here, namely TR6. So we select TR6, and again we click on the arrow here. So now we have included all the values, all the variables whose mean we want to calculate. Now this numeric expression is now complete, which is telling us that SPSS has to compute a new target variable named as TR, and that TR is equal to the mean of these 6 variables, namely TR1, TR2, TR3, TR4, TR5 and TR6. So basically you want to find the mean of all these 6 variables for every respondent data which is entered in SPSS. So again we have let's execute this thing. So by clicking on OK, we get the output window open, and it is showing the command which we have entered and the variable details, and then it is showing the execute line. Now going back to the main data window, now let's have a look at the column which is on the extreme right side, and by going to the extreme right side column, we can see that there is another column which is being created at the end, and it's the most right side end column, and in this you can see a new column TR has been calculated, in which the mean of all the 6 questions has been calculated for each case which is highlighted. Let's say for first respondent, the mean of all the training variable is shown here in the variable titled TR. So basically this separate this separate variable has been calculated by calculating the mean. But going back to the same window which is transform, going back to the compute variable option, You see, basically we created the function, but here we can maneuver a lot. Like if you want to place certain condition, then there's a button of if here, which is seen below the variable list, and if we click on if button, then we can introduce conditions, that under which conditions these variables need to be selected for such kind of calculation. For now we have clicked on include all cases option. However, we can click on, let's say, include if cases satisfy condition. So if I click on this, so now I have to, and I can introduce a condition, and if that condition is satisfied, then these mean values will be created for each respondent. So let's say if I would say that TR1, and by clicking on the arrow on the right side of the variable list, let's say if TR1 is greater than 2. So I'm just imposing a condition that the SPSS would only calculate the mean if the first training question value is greater than 2 for each case. If it's not greater than 2, then no such mean will be calculated. So this is just one example, and let's say by clicking on continue, I have introduced a condition now, which is written here at the bottom level, that if TR1 is greater than 2, then he should create a target variable. So clicking on OK, it is asking for whether it should change the existing variable of TR, because previously what we did was that we created another variable named as TR, and we just calculated the mean without imposing any condition. So let's say we don't want to change that, we want to name a new one. So let's click cancel, and by clicking on target variable, we want to introduce another target variable named as TR1. So TR1 and 1, and basically TR11 is a new target variable which would be calculated based on the condition if the first question of training variable has a value greater than 2. So let's click on OK, and you can see that another TR11 has been created. Now here you can see that only those values were calculated in which TR1, the first question answered by any respondent, was greater than 2. However, we can see, let's say on row number 26, that in row number 26, the TR1, and the first question of the training variable, was having value less than 2, so its mean was not calculated. So similarly, we can calculate these different values by imposing different conditions if it is convenient, and that is one way to calculate the mean. So likewise, again going back to the transform, we can compute the variable again, and now this time I want to calculate not the mean but the median of these 6 variables. So let's create a new target variable which would be termed as TR11, and we write median, MED, and it represents median. By clicking on type and label, we give it the label of training median. So by clicking on continue, the new target variable has been defined. However, we need to change this target function, which is the mean, because we don't want to calculate the mean now, we want to calculate the median. So going to the functions and special variable list, we just roll down the menu and we can see that below mean there is an additional function of median. So we click on median and we click on the upward arrow near the calculator type keypad, and you can see that a new function has been introduced here, and it's termed as median. We just delete the mean terminology here, and by clicking on delete we can delete the values of and the question marks. We don't have to enter all these variables again, and also the closing sign. So here now the same function which was written like mean is now written as median, and median then bracket start, and all the 6 variables of whom we want to find out the median are enlisted in front of this function. So once we have defined this function, let's go back to the if option, because now we don't want to impose any condition. So we click on include all cases and we click on continue. So now there is no condition imposed on this target variable, so we just click on OK. So again the output window appears and we go back to the database form. Now here you can see that another column has been created by the name of tr11 meet. So the new variable which has been created here can be seen, and the median values can be easily seen in the last right side column, and you can see that all the 6 questions items medians have been reported here. Once we have done that, let's now go back to the transform function and click on compute variable option. Now here again, let's say this time we want to calculate the mode of all these variables. So again we define the target variable, which would be now written as tr11 mod, which will represent the mode. So let's click on the type and label, and we click on training, and instead of median we write mode here, and we click on continue. Now here the last thing which we want to do is to change the function. So we can do it otherwise as well, that we just delete the whole function here by selecting the whole function and click on delete. Then we go back to the functions and special variables list, and we click on mod, which is basically written here, and we can calculate the same function by writing it in the similar manner which we have discussed before. So now once we have gone through that, any kind of variable, new variable, can be calculated through this compute variable option. It is not necessary that only mean, mode, median can need to be calculated. There are many functions which are enlisted, as you can see in the functions and special variable list, and by clicking on any one function and then entering that in numerical expression, we can then enter the variable names of whom we want to calculate that specific function, and we can calculate it. So we have got a lot of functions which can be calculated here, and which makes our analysis job very much easier by opting for these direct functions and formulating the formula here. So by clicking on cancel, let's go back to the screen. Now in this case, what we did was we just wanted to calculate the mean, mode, median values of basically the 6 items or 6 questions of training variable, which you can see highlighted here, and we wanted to get to know the average of these 6 questions reported by, let's say, first respondent, and likewise second respondent and third, and so on, every respondent as well. Now let's say I just want to know the mean value of this variable only, which is termed as tr1. So how to do that? So I would just go to the analyze function, which is listed in the menu bar, and by clicking on descriptive statistics, you can see that descriptive statistics options are available here, and there's an option called descriptives. So by clicking on descriptives, we are now asked whether which variable descriptive do we require. So we click on training variable 1, let's say, and we enter this variable here. Now let's choose the option part, and here it is asking that which value do we require for in order to report the descriptives, and for now we just want the mean, so we just deselect all other options and only the mean is required here, and we just click on continue and we click on OK. So here you can see that the mean of the first training variable is shown here, but we can also get the mean value of number of variables at the same time. So we go back to analyze part, we select descriptive statistics, and we select descriptives here, and we select other variables as well by first clicking on the first variable, and by clicking on shift button, and by holding the shift button and clicking on the last training 6, all the other variables are now selected, and I click on the rightward arrow. Now you can see that all the 6 variables are selected, and we want to get to know about the mean of all these variables. So I just select them and click on OK. So now here you can see that the mean values of all the variables are displayed. Now after we have displayed the mean values of all these 6 variables, now these results can be attained from another technique as well. We go to analyze, and we, let's say, click on descriptive statistics, and we click on, let's say, frequencies as well, and we just select all the 6 variables. So by clicking on all the 6 variables and selecting them on the right side, I just want to know the statistics of this. So I just click on the statistics button, and here we can get all the values of frequency statistics, and you can see the central tendency values here: mean, median, mode, and sum. So I just click on continue, and I deselect the display of frequency table, and I click on OK. So here you can see that now the statistics of all the 6 variables, mean, median, and mode, are displayed, and their sum is also displayed here. So basically, through this technique, we can get all the 3 values in SPSS software. This is one way of getting the result. Also, if we want to, let's say, get the frequency tables only, then we can go to Descriptive Statistics. We can click on the frequency button, and we can ask that we can click on the display frequency table as well, and let's click OK. So now here the frequency table of each variable is shown here on the screen with its frequency, its percentage, its valid percentage, and its cumulative percentage as well. So such values are reported for every option available under each variable defined here. So you can see the result of all the 6 variables ranging from training question 1 to training question 6 are displayed. Now again, let's go to Analyze and go back again to Descriptive Statistics. We click on the frequency option, and we want to now additionally have the information in the form of a chart. So I click on charts, and we can click on bar charts here, so that its frequency values are shown in the form of a bar chart. So let's click on continue, and let's click on OK. So now again, second set of same values have been displayed, but this time we are shown bar charts for every variable here. So you can get additional information by adding more and more details which you want to know in SPSS. So let's go back to the Analyze option, and going back to Descriptive Statistics. Again here the same information has been shown previously in Explore option. If we click on Explore, and it's again asking for the variables whose exploration we want to do. So we click on first variable, and then we click on this up to 6th one by holding Shift and clicking on the left mouse button in the last variable. So by clicking on the right arrow, we included it in the dependent list. Now let's have a look at the statistics. We click on statistics, and let's say we want outliers and descriptives. So we are only interested in that. We click on plots button, and we deselect stem and leaf because we don't need any other thing. We don't require any box plot, so we click none, and again we click cancel, and we click on OK. So now another set of results is generated, in which first you can see the case processing summary, and in this case processing summary you can see the valid values, the missing values, and then if you see closely, the mean value of first variable is first reported in descriptive part, and then likewise median and then again in other values which are reported, and we will study these values ahead in our further lectures. So mean is reported in such way also in SPSS. So going back to analyze part and going to descriptive statistics, you can see that the first three options like frequencies, descriptives and explore option can be used to report the various values of mean, mode and median, and we can easily display them on the output window. Now going through some other additional options, let's click on the analyze part, and by clicking on descriptive statistics we select frequency option again, and by clicking on the charts option you can see that you can try to get any kind of chart you like. Let's say this time I want a histogram, and again with normal curve I click on this so that the curve of normality is also shown. So I click on continue and we click on OK. So again another set of values is generated, which is seen here. Frequency tables are shown on the screen, and what's interesting is the histogram of each variable values has been displayed, and the curve, the normality curve, you can see in the graph. We will discuss this curve in detail in ahead lectures. So likewise same result is displayed here for all the other variables, and as you can see on the screen. So you can use and you can get any different kind of charts here, and you can display all these values in different ways through using different tools, as we have done by using the descriptive statistics option under analyze option. So now once we have gone through that, there are some additional options which you should know. And for example, let's go back to the data window, and we want to calculate selected number of cases results. So in order to select those selected number of cases or the respondents, we go to the data option and we click on select cases, which is the second last option under the data drop down menu. Once you do that, a dialog box opens, and here you can see that the first option on the right side is select all cases. Now you can select any cases based on any type of conditions you like, and you can just click on if condition is satisfied, if condition is the same as we have discussed before, and if we click on if, the same dialog box opens which we have seen before, and you can give the if option or the condition here in any form you like, because you have been given all the relative tools here. So let's click on cancel, or if you want to select a random sample of cases, then in that case you can click on random sample of cases and click on sample. Now here you can determine the sample size, and through both the options which are written here, and SPSS will select a random sample, and only those cases who are included in that random sample will be counted for any type of further analysis in SPSS. So let's have a look. Again, you can give a case range as well. If we click on based on time or case range, then we have to define the range. So you can basically give the first case observation and the last one. In between these two, all the values including these two will be then considered for your any type of further analysis on the selected number of respondents items. So again, the SPSS does ask that what would be the output like. First option is filter out unselected cases. Second is copy selected cases to a new data set. So whichever cases are selected would be copied to a new data set and a new file will be created. In that case, you have to write the name. And then we gave additional example, an existing option which is called delete unselected cases. So those cases which are not selected would be deleted by default if we click on this option. So this is one tool to select different kind of cases which you want to select for your analysis. And likewise, by clicking on data, we can have additional options, and in this case you can see that, for example, sort cases option, we can sort them out based on any specific property. Let's click on this. So let's say we want to sort, then the whole other variables will be sorted based on the characteristics of any variable which you select here. So let's say I click on training variable 1 and I click on the right side arrow, and then you can mention here the what sort order is required. So if I say that it should be ascending or descending, then based on that all the other values, all the other variable values would also be shifted based on the sorting criteria defined here. Now coming back to the menu, again you can use other values as well and other function as well to enhance the credibility of your data. So let's say we want to know the variable information of any variable. So you go to utilities and you click on the variable, and here you can see that on left hand side the name of the variables are written, and if you click on any one variable, the right hand side shows the information regarding that variable. So this is one easy way to know the properties of any variable you want to know about. So basically there are many functions here in SPSS which make the data handling very easy, and we can use all these different options to improve our analysis in this case. So we would discuss many options here which are available for the users in SPSS in detail, and for now let's see that the one of the important basically option which is also available in under sort cases is by sort variable. By clicking on it, you can sort all the columns based on the variables which are listed here, and you can easily use them by easily selecting the type which is selected here. So you can use this sorting function for your convenience and at any stage you like, and that value would be sorted as per your demand. So in today's lecture what we did was that how to calculate the mean, median and mode options in SPSS, how different tools in SPSS can be used to find out the mean values of all the items or questions of a single variable, or if you want to find out the mean of all the responses under one single question. So basically there are different options available through which we can get all this information from SPSS. Again, we can get the graphical information of these options in SPSS also. So these tools have been discussed in detail in this lecture so that you can have a know-how of how to calculate these central tendency options, and again how to display the different frequency distribution options graphically in front of the audience. So the usage of different tools depends upon the requirement. So based on that, this selection of tool is made, and we commence our analysis ahead basically. So the first most important thing is that descriptive analysis is the most important part. This is the very first step of the rest of the analysis, and if this step is wrongly taken, then all the rest of the analysis, and which are a bit more complicated, can go wrong. So that's why it's important that the SPSS calculation criteria and the different tools are assessed in detail, because every tool gives a different kind of information, and as we have seen that we can calculate the mean from many different ways. However, the way or the kind of data which is selected for calculated those mean was different in each case. So all the three aspects are important, and all the three are reported widely while reporting the analysis of all of these complicated variables and concepts. So this is vital that know-how of such tools be known. So I hope that this was understandable. We will meet here again next time. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.